So this is going automatically to my Facebook page. I don't have to do anything.
I didn't get it on your personal yet.
All right, so I'm going to pretend like I'm listening while I.
Yeah. While you do that,
Right.
Next week it'll go because you just got me today. You set this up at 4 a.m. But then it'll be on your personal page, and then then it doesn't go automatically to your Instagram, but it'll get posted there. But it's pretty cool because you and I have a lot of friends, but it's on my personal page right now.
Okay, good.
I think. Yeah, I think so.
So we are not scripted, but we are certainly planned.
Yes.
So in the green room, trying to figure out what we'll talk about, the obvious thing came up, which is what a consumer who is facing foreclosure with the moratoriums now ending needs to know in order to save their credit, keep or sell their house with dignity, and just cover their tuchuses, as they say in the old country. So when COVID hit, there was a moratorium put on evictions and foreclosures. We're not going to talk about evictions right now, but foreclosures became non-existent. As you may recall, when I went to Texas to the 5-Star Conference for REOs, the guy from Fannie Mae talked about how they'd gone from 100,000 assets in the height of the crash 10 years ago, 12 years ago, to 5,000 on an average year. Now they have fewer than 1,500. Now, Fannie Mae has 1,500 foreclosures on the books in a country of 330 million. That's not a lot of foreclosures. And the reason for that is because of the moratoriums. A lot of people, myself included, took advantage of forbearances, not knowing what was going to happen with the economy back in March of 2020. I had a forbearance for 6 months. Why not? Right? And I resumed payments, thank God. Some people were not able to.
Mm-hmm.
So these people are about 1.5 years, 2 years behind on their mortgage, but the court actions against them have not really been promulgated. And there's going to be, I think, a backlog of cases, especially here in New York, where we are what's called a judicial state of foreclosures. But there are a lot of cases where action had already begun, and now with the lifting of the moratoriums, those actions will be expedited. So some people are going to start facing uncomfortable times.
Mm-hmm.
Not their fault. It bothers me greatly when you hear these asshats say, "Well, you shouldn't have used your house as a credit card." You run a restaurant, you run a business that's been adversely affected by the pandemic. You didn't use your house as a credit card. You did everything you were supposed to do. So these people need help.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have equity and they can sell with dignity. Okay? Some of them, the arrearage is going to pile up and they're upside down. So best practice number 1 that I would say is that you need to contact an attorney who specializes in foreclosure defense. And we know a bunch of them. You should probably also talk to a good real estate agent. I know a few of those too. You probably do.
Mm-hmm.
Who can give you a realistic idea of what your house is worth. Sometimes you're not going to get what your neighbor got because, your neighbor who sold down the street for zillion dollars, they may not have had any deferred maintenance. If you haven't been able to make your payment for a year, you may have just deferred maintenance. By the way, did you like the hole in my ceiling the other day?
Oh, yeah. It was lovely.
Yeah, we had a little deferred maintenance here.
Yeah.
We had a leaky roof and it got fixed. And a small piece of the ceiling about the size of a football fell onto my son's bed. And it's very cute. Luke is very sweet. He goes, "Dad, I think you need to come down here and look at this." What is it? And you can tell he's like struggling for words. "I think you need to look at this." Is it bad? I think you need to look at it. This poor kid.
Did I see daylight in that hole? I thought I saw daylight.
Yeah. They replaced the plywood. And, I have a new roof today. I'm very happy about that. It looks like a spiffy new roof. But so I relate to the deferred maintenance. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you defer maintenance because you just
when you're a small business owner, oftentimes it can be personal or business.
Yes, the cobbler's children sometimes go barefoot.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the deferred maintenance. At any rate, you want to call a good real estate agent and get a sense of what your value is. The other thing that's concerning people who are facing this sort of situation, whose the easiest way out is to sell, is where they're going to live. That is a tricky bit because there's not a lot of inventory to choose from. There's not a lot of rentals to choose from because of the eviction moratorium. And it's hard to buy when you are behind on your mortgage. I'll say this proudly. Of the dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people, did I lose you there? Okay, well, I'll just keep talking because Jen's Wi-Fi left. So the broadcast got a lot less good looking and a lot less intelligent.
That was
there we are. Now we're better.
That was weird, but it stayed on.
I hope it did. It seemed to have. I it was just me. So, you went dark. I was saying that the broadcast got less attractive and less smart there for a moment. So you need to talk to a good real estate agent, get a sense of what your house is worth. I will say this before I got rudely interrupted by your Wi-Fi. No short sale client of ours lived under a bridge after they moved out back in the day when we were doing hundreds of short sales. Mm-hmm. All of them got a rental, moved in with, relocated elsewhere. We worked it out where we made sure that any new landlord who was getting them as a tenant understood that, they're going from a $3,500 mortgage payment to a $2,000 rental payment. They got their job. Everything's fine, blah, blah, blah. So it all worked out. But you got to talk to professionals in the field. Good agent, good lawyer. You might be able to modify your mortgage. There's always programs out there to modify your mortgage, especially when there's a black swan event like Wall Street crash, pandemic, everything like that. But you've got to start talking to the professionals, lawyer, real estate agent, get the value, get a plan, and then you will not go to bed and have a sleepless night because you at least got a plan.
Yeah. What we were just talking about before this about sticking your head in the sand. It's definitely not what you want to do. Like, you can't avoid the unavoidable. It's inevitable. It's something you're going to have to deal with, but there are a lot of solutions out there. And, if it's just a place that you honestly can't afford to be in anymore, you want to go out in the best way possible, if that's the worst case scenario.
I like the shameless self-promotion we got here in the crawl.
You like that? You like that? I'm pretty
Very
good.
Good.
We're not live on my personal page either. I got to figure that out. I thought we were. I'll get there.
All right. Well, why don't you pretend you're listening to me and just go back to your phone and just share it to your. I
did that.
Okay.
4 minutes ago.
Maybe you are. So there were many, many times when I would get to someone's house, 2008, 9, and 10, out of work, behind on their mortgage, facing foreclosure, just wasn't sure if they were going to come padlock the door, where we listed the property, mapped out a plan, told them how things were going to go. And even though there was no buyer, there was no approved short sale, even though we just, all we did was have a plan, and they had someone aboard that knew what they were doing.
And they felt better.
And they felt huge weight off their shoulders.
Yeah.
Huge weight off their shoulders.
It happens. I mean, some of the most successful people I know have had issues with their mortgages, taxes. I mean, it happens. This is like crazy economic world we live in, you know?
Sure.
We basically get up and do what we have to do so that we can pay taxes and pay to have a roof over our head. And sometimes things get difficult. I had a difficult year this year. My husband was not doing well for quite some time, and it's stressful. It's very stressful. And the obligations are still there.
The obligations don't go away. Overhead doesn't go away. You know, your kids still expect to be fed, clothed, and educated. The municipality is still going to levy taxes on you. Your lender expects to get paid. Your neighbors expect you to mow your lawn and
IRS in New York State. New York State is brutal.
Yeah. So
brutal.
To the layperson out there, who do you think's rougher, New York State or the IRS?
New York State, man. They're just like parking on your lawn.
The IRS is Santa Claus compared to Albany.
And it's funny because the IRS is a very intimidating looking piece of mail. New York State seems so innocent. And so if you don't know,
New York State is rigid, unforgiving, and relentless. The IRS is relatively to New York flexible, understanding, and willing to work with you.
And both just want to hear from you, though. Going back to that, don't stick your head in the sand. They just want to hear from you.
Communicate. By the way, that's probably the third thing. Call a lawyer, a foreclosure defense attorney. Call a real estate agent. Call your lender.
Yeah.
Call your lender.
The mortgage broker, like that person that helped you get that loan. You know, if you don't want to call the 1-800 number, then call the person, you know, that person that charmed you and held your hand through the process more than likely, and you became sort of friends with, and then you forgot about each other.
Yeah.
They will help you through the process.
Yeah. A good loan officer is going to want to help past clients. Absolutely. And you know what? Here's the thing. This is the other thing people need to understand. This is not the fourth phone call to make, but it is something else to understand if you're facing foreclosure. And that is that your credit is not ruined. Your credit is not ruined, even if you have a bankruptcy. Your credit is not ruined if you have a short sale. Your credit is not ruined. Your credit isn't even ruined if you have a foreclosure. Is there going to be a temporary setback? Yes. But old joke of mine, this country was built on guns, Jesus, and credit. And if all the people that had mortgage issues in the late 80s and all the people that had mortgage issues in the late 2000s, 7, 8, 9, if none of them were never able to reestablish their credit, this economy would fall to its knees. This economy is built on credit, and the restoration of credit is relatively easy. Yep. I know somebody who had Chapter 13, got a few secured credit cards, and within 90 days, their FICOs were up in the high 600s again.
Yep. Just don't max it out.
No. Buy gumballs, pay it off, and then put those credit cards in the sock drawer. Don't use them.
Yep.
But just pay that stuff off. So you can reestablish your credit. You can reestablish your credit relatively expeditiously within a year, sometimes sooner if you're further distanced from these more adverse events. So,
and if anything has taught us how quick a year goes by, the pandemic did.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm like, that was 2 years ago on some things, and we're coming up on 2 years.
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 years. We weren't even talking about COVID last November. I think a little bit came up in December, January. March is when the shit hit the fan.
February. You know why? Because I had a granddaughter born February 21st. So it was already a thing in the hospitals, and they were, we were all able to be there.
Yeah.
But precautions were already being taken, and obviously it was already a conversation between my daughter and her husband, a concern. So that's when
that was nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah.
There's the little human walking around your house talking English.
Oh, she is something else, man.
She was born into this, like weeks old.
I'm formidable, or I'm, bossy, or can come up, get a little rough and attitudey. How does a 19-month-old have my exact personality? Like, you can't tell her anything, but she understands every word that comes out of your mouth. And my Olivia's like, you're really hard on her sometimes. I'm like, she understands everything I'm saying.
Yep.
I'm not letting her get away with that.
You're smart.
No. Very smart. Very smart little girl.
Yeah. Very smart.
But I think pandemic probably lended itself to that too. Just being, home 24/7 with your parents for a long period of time.
Yeah. I mean, it'll certainly expand the vocabulary, listening to adults talk. For sure. She's a smart little whippersnapper.
I only have WW. It's WWW in case.
Or no W's.
It wouldn't be me if there wasn't a typo.
Well, that's really an okay typo to have. I think people will understand the shorthand.
I know.
Yeah.
So if you do need help, the information is below. You can call. Phil will answer. Maybe not immediately, but he'll get right back to you. And if not, if you want a little more privacy, or you want some information to just soak up and think about and talk about with your spouse or your family or your partner, then go to that website, www.nyforeclosureprevention.com. There is a whole bunch of information in there. The one thing that's not in there is judgment. Zero judgment. We get it.
Oh, please. We get it. We get it. When the market crashed in 2008, by 2009, we here in this house were 9 months behind on our mortgage, and we got it modified. We got it worked out, got back on our feet, but 9 months went by because we couldn't pay the mortgage, and so we certainly relate. And there's no agent, and certainly shouldn't be any attorney who does this for a living, who should make you feel bad for not having the current mortgage that everybody claims that they have on Facebook. It's rough out there. It's been a rough time. So there's a lot of understanding here. We certainly get it. Stages of grief, the whole thing. We get it. But you have to do something. Something's got to be done. You've got to call a lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, we got them. Call a real estate agent, get your value. Call your bank, let them know you're still living here, you're maintaining the property, you're doing your best, blah, 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 blah. They may ask you 1,000 questions, and you can say, look, I'll get back to you. You don't need to answer all the questions. There may be a guy taking pictures out of the street of your house doing what we call a broker price opinion, because that triggers the bank doing that, but that's going to happen anyway. And the bank's going to start to get worried if they don't hear from you. The first letters they send will be, we know it's hard. But after that, the letters get a little bit more stern. So we've got the resources. We get it. I've talked to 2 prominent people, both of whom you know today, who are big in the distress in the REO world. And they see that there's going to be
You're getting busy.
It's good. They're going to be busy soon. So that's just a thing. We get it. You've got to do something though.
By the way, everybody, all 2 people watching, but I know a lot of people watch afterwards. Put your comments below on any topics that you would like us to cover, and we will cover them. Also, we're going to start having guests. Yeah, some really great guests.
We're going to have some
next
awesome
week.
guests.
Let's make it a goal to announce our guests and their dates for next week.
Absolutely. Well, we know we're going to have our friend Leslie Ebersol on the broadcast. We know that we're going to have our friend Rob Hahn soon. It's just a function of setting up the dates.
And Jay Thompson, right?
They're easy.
Oh, we didn't ask him yet?
No brainer. No brainer. Jay, come on the broadcast. Yeah, no trouble there. We actually have a list of several hundred people that are friends in the industry who can give a lot of knowledge to our public out here. And we know some really smart people. That is for sure. We know some very good, smart people who can talk about a lot of the different intricacies and angles of this crazy industry. We will always have job security because people need to live indoors. It is the largest financial event of most people's lives, and you don't want to make it a do-it-yourself project ever. And you got to use the right professional. And we stand for that. We stand for training the right professionals, and we stand for making sure that we're the right professionals for the public out there. That's how we've built the brand. What else? Is that a wrap? We good?
That's a wrap.
Okay.
We will see you next Monday at 3:30. And again, any topics you want covered, even when we have fun guests, we can put them through the ringer on your topics.
Stump the guest.
Stump the guest. All right. See you later.